Now, no one likes receiving a parking ticket, and the rules around blue badges are often confusing. But there's one Nottinghamshire mum who's so cross about receiving one that she has accused Rushcliffe Borough Council of discrimination. Louise Davies says that an able-bodied person wouldn't have been put in the same position as she and her disabled daughter, Maya, were after enjoying a day out last month. BBC Radio Nottingham's Naveen Malik has been to meet them.
OK, Mara, so we're going to get you onto the tail lift. So we'll just get you a bit closer to the van and get the ramp down. Let's get the ramp down first.
15-year-old Mara has cerebral palsy, restricting her movement and her speech. Her home and this van have been specially adapted to meet her needs.
We need to get the chair onto the ramp. She's been disabled from birth, and as she's got older she's got more difficult to manage, but she enjoys days out and she enjoys life as much as she's able to.
Okay, Mara, ready to go? Are you ready to go?
Yeah. Okay.
It was one of those days, Armed Forces Day, that the family parked in Central Avenue car park in West Bridgford at just before 4:30. Before 6 p.m, the signage says it's free for disabled users for up to 3 hours, with no return for 2. After 6, it says the parking is free. They returned after 6 p.m. to find a penalty notice.
So we arrived back at the car just before 9:30, and we were really shocked to see this penalty notice stuck to the front. So we appealed, and then we got a letter back telling us that the problem was that we'd overstayed 3 hours. I mean, our argument was that the time started at 4:20, 3 hours takes us past 6 o'clock, and between 6 o'clock and midnight, disabled drivers who display a badge are allowed to park for free. We don't know from the letter back what they expect we should have done, whether they think we should have had to move the vehicle because 3 hours had passed, even though between 6 and midnight it's free for disabled drivers, or if they think we should have returned to the vehicle and altered the clock to 6 o'clock, which isn't allowed under blue badge rules. It's not clear. It's not clear to me even now what they expect that we should have done.
Rushcliffe Borough Council says the family exceeded the maximum 3-hour stay, and that's enforced so more disabled drivers can use the designated spaces. But Louise says she feels discriminated against.
I did look up on the parking website, and it told me that in 2011 they had renewed all the machines to allow drivers able-bodied drivers who pay for parking to pre-buy a £1 evening ticket to prevent the inconvenience of them having to return to their vehicle and buy a ticket at 6 o'clock. So it seems that they're thinking about the able-bodied drivers and how to least inconvenience them, but they seem to be making disabled drivers to be inconveniencing them greatly and basically leaving us confused as to what they expect us to do.
Helen Dolphin has written extensively about blue badge problems. She's from the charity Disabled Motoring UK and had a look at Louise's case.
I just don't think that sign explains clearly enough what is expected of people, and how could she possibly know that she's infringed her parking, because it doesn't seem that she has from what the sign says. It's quite common for a first appeal to be rejected because it's obviously just being done internally, and since the council wrote those signs they probably think that they're quite good, but clearly on further inspection they are very confusing, and so what she needs to do next is to appeal to the Traffic Penalty Tribunal, which all the information would be on her ticket that she's got.
So how do you feel hearing that?
It makes it seem that we're not arguing a petty point, that this is very important, that it's made clear to disabled drivers, and basically that they shouldn't be discriminated against. They should be allowed, as are able-bodied, to arrive before 6 o'clock and to plan their evening, that they don't have to return to their vehicle or remove their vehicle. They can arrive and they can enjoy having a meal out in the town centre without having to return to the vehicle, which if you're actually a disabled driver in a wheelchair would be really difficult. We are going to appeal and we're going to put our case clearly. I'd like the rules to be clear and I'd like them to be fair so that disabled drivers can arrive within 3 hours of 6 o'clock and enjoy a whole evening of parking as can able-bodied drivers.
Well, there you go. That's the issue. Don't know whose side you're on. Having heard that, you perhaps can make your own mind up as well by looking at the sign, which you can see on BBC Radio Nottingham's Facebook page this morning. The actual sign that's in the car park, which that has been so confusing here because it depends on what your interpretation is of that sign. That's on Facebook, so you can have a quick peep at it if you fancy.